were always so high, and they just never reached the pinnacle. They did it last year, and they have not slowed down one bit. And same here on the day, Alliance leading the pack by nearly 30 points.
Crazy gap here as we go on to our last game on E District, which has been very interesting. Our last two map winners, Alliance with that 22 KP, VK Gaming Game 3 with that 11 KP, have both been able to convert their POIs into these dubs, holding a really good position and actually being able to secure that there at the very late game into that win.
And VK Gaming are always a team that perform well with their signature style. Get center zone as quickly as possible. You know, sometimes we saw them picking up Valkyries when she was really out of meta just to get that priority over other teams. But when the ring pulls to them, they do an extremely well job of converting on that and getting the wins.
And where the zone's going to be taking us, though, slightly over to the side of Energy Bank. Great year for Fusion. We're going to be feasting on that ring console, that survey beacon here, too. Nice side-by-side of our beautiful Apex stage. And you talk about the different legend compositions going into this game here, Jamerson. I see the Fuse, we see the Ballistic, the Wraith, of course, here to provide that extra help for rotating.
Interestingly enough, I thought with the Fuse still available, a team like Alliance, who made that their bread and butter with the Crypto, are opting for the Pathfinder instead. So they're going to opt for that to get that ring console scan for themselves. The Ballistic, though, does come out for them, and that's going to provide a lot of extra firepower. They might not need it because this is going to be another early rotate zone for them, coming out from Galleria. But as we join on board with Rock Esports, they're going to be coming out from Blossom here, and they should be able to bypass S8UL for still looting. But an early fight now for Fusion. They track down Go Next.
Oh, and VK Gaming, by the way, are about to take an evac tower and land right on top of their heads. The team that loves to try to take these fights can cut them off here, too. They hear the fighting going down. They can try to play off the high ground here, too. But you know the team that lands by draft point, RRX, could also easily make their way for the fourth party. But first off, Dematic was able to get that first knock, kind of losing out on that shield, just trying to find a crevice as the Caustic to reset here. January is going to be able to look down at that Wraith portal, the calm before the storm, as both these teams are just trying to heal up.
Yeah, this is a scary proposition to be in for Go Next because DK Gaming, when they make these rotates, are really good about paring down the map as they go along. But this time around, they're positioning a little bit further out. They are a little bit split up, as you had mentioned. RX have moved in. For Go Next, though, they're able to get the res and just stabilize inside of their building. At this point, it might be just too many teams in presence to try and go overly aggressive to whittle down the teams here on the south side of Energy Bank.
That building is the don't pull up zone here. When I first started dropping on E District, trying to get their early fighting in. Great for early rotates if there was another fight over by draft point here, but it's a congested spot nonetheless. Both these teams respecting one another, coexisting alongside one another here too, because with the introduction of the Rampart, this also allows you to hold more of these corners, keep up the pressure since we're seeing a lot of these 30-30s, G7s to boost up these Evo shields, and of course, the Fuse, like you mentioned too, the Knuckle clusters coming in clutch as RRX are just going to look behind them to make sure no one's going to be rotating here on their 6, but SBI Esports, considering that Draft Point has a ring console and a survey beacon, they're going to start slowly approaching there too, while Alliance still gets these knocks.
Yeah, I think this was the beginning of Gaming Gladiators getting a knock onto one member of Twisted Minds. Then Alliance on the rotate in were able to find one more. But Twisted Minds aren't out of it quite yet. Their third has been able to survive, and of course, it's going to be Alb on that Wraith. We'll see if they can get him back into this game. It's going to be fairly easy proposition as so many teams have already made their way inside of E-Bank for Alliance. Even though they come from Galleria, they do like to kind of negative rotate a lot of times, take slower rotates to get into zone when it pulls so close to them, because they do like to get these early KP. And we're seeing the fruits of it on the scoreboard right now. 75 points for Alliance.
They don't really have to worry. And we're halfway through the series, right? Out of 10 here in game number 5, Hockey's putting down that Moby right down below because Alliance are in some trouble here. They lost out on effect earlier on. Hockey's gets out of drone. Maybe they could have destroyed it, actually. It looked like that seems to be the case. He dropped down right here. It's Gaming Gladiators that now turn around this fight here with some help with the Sheila having that Rampart composition.
Gaming Gladiators, I mean, we're not in that territory where you really do have to worry about your positioning, but they are currently in 7th place. So those were some necessary kills, both on Twisted Minds and on Alliance for them to try and keep ahead of the rest of the pack behind them. They want to secure that spot into the match point finals without having to play on day number 3.
Yeah, let's not forget, there's like three different stakes actually here in this lobby. Top 7 makes it to match point finals Sunday. 8th place all the way down to 17th, though, qualify for tomorrow's games for the last chance qualifiers, while again we'll be having to say goodbye to the teams that find themselves from 18th to 20th. And already at this halfway point, the teams have already decided what they need to do differently to turn things around. This is the last game on E-District. Although I feel like on E-District, a lot of these teams find their footing here. It's not really like a significant shift with one team performing significantly better than the other. But we've been seeing that kind of evened out with the way that Alliance has been able to soak up a lot of points, especially in that last game.
Yeah, and yesterday we had 3 point sponges, right? In NIP, Falcons, and TSM. Bringing our cutoffs for that top 7 and top 17 down a little bit lower than we were expecting. For top 7, it was at about 58 points, and for top 17, it was 32. So if you want to avoid getting knocked out day number 2, you're still looking at about 32 points because we have another point sponge in this lobby, and it is Alliance. For a limit, though, they are starting to make their way on into the zone, joining on board with 100 Thieves. Again, squad that started off the day strong. They haven't been able to recreate that quite yet, but they haven't been getting outpaced, right? They're still picking up points along the way.
Twisted Minds are able to get the respawn, though, onto Crook and Enemy. Keeping your eyes on where Twisted Minds is right now. Lions still being able to reset to another team that has gotten the full respawn. Great looks on these resets, all in each different corner of this next zone, but Alliance went right back to where you were saying, Jamerson, wrapped up on the other side of Galleria, this time taking it slow. They got the respawn closer to Heights. Now we're going to play objective. There's a ring console on their pathing, as well as a survey beacon. A lot of these teams are trying to find these different corners in that next zone, creating a pileup, but they want to avoid the congestion that comes out of Draft Point, that comes out of the west side, where VP and NRD are currently situated in.
Yeah, for EVOS, they're going to be taking some ring damage here as they secure that last bin to get on to purple. As we get a better look at the next zone, it is going to be pulling directly on top of Gaming Gladiators. You can see that about 7, 8 teams are inside the zone right now, but we're getting a big pileup of teams on the western edge. You got Unlimit, NRG, Shopify, Rebellion, but others are starting to move now up towards that eastern side. Crazy Raccoons are going to have to watch their back with Rock Esports behind them. Twisted Minds can come in for a delayed approach if a fight breaks out there on the southeast side.
Deciding if they want to go over to that far east side where there is that ring console, that survey beacon 2 playing more objective as well. While we take a look at the graveyard at the feet of JDG. I believe this was earlier on too. We saw the death boxes of Alliance similarly into this middle part of Energy Bank, but looking at Gaming Gladiators still holding over to that north side. JD Gaming are just going to be able to loot. They have a scout ahead with the crypto drone. VP are able to get these knocks though in the feed. Crazy Raccoon 2, Aquarius getting the double back-to-back knock onto SBI, while JD Gaming are just watching from afar. But this is a fight that we were talking about before. We're seeing these these third eagle eye view camera shots. Crazy Raccoon are going to be able to delete that Sparrow, as Mortal Flare has now come in as well. It's going to be the mother load just to be able to detect where they're located inside this building. But it's a lot of side-by-sides. The VP fight that we had seen before still had gone down over in that building.
Go next. Looks like plugging someone in right now is Virtus Pro. Or left down to Slayer here. See, Fusion decide to full push onto this one. It's just January right now on the ground. Hitting up that bat. He'll have plenty of time. Not getting caught on the reload here. Slayer. It's a full 1v1. Nade out. I don't think he made it across. He's going to be forced back on out. Third party is not here quite yet. VP. As Slayer is able to get that thirst onto Kimchi. And now it looks like VP are starting get cleaned up. Go Next are able to come in for the third party.
That fight was going on forever, by the way. We saw them getting knocked there originally on the feed, and now it's really up to Slayer to see if they could get the reset here for the whole team, as that pile-up has now diminished. Go Next, claim that building, they get the res, Fusion is left as a solo, and the Mythic Bin has now respawned over to that north side by Energy Bank. They will be spawning here by the end of this round 2, closing in, and Shopify Rebellion on the other side of Crazy Raccoon.
Yeah, we got Crazy Raccoon starting to get sandwiched, though. We were talking about Rock Esports coming up from behind them. Shopify Rebellion are just trying to slow them down enough to allow the pressure of the ring to start whittling down their HP just a bit, though. Crazy Raccoon will be eating this just a bit, but right now Sungjun working a path in for his squad, can't make it through the door, and he somehow survives, but Rock are now starting to hold him out. It's going to be Shopify Rebellion actually getting focused down just a little bit by Backslon here. That might create enough space for Crazy Raccoon to survive.
This is a 4-team pile-up on this southern side right now, as Crazy Raccoon stay alive inside that bunker. They try to get away as Backslon tries to close in the gap. Rock Esports, they want blood. They're trying to gatekeep these teams here, but they have to plan this tactically because they have to make sure that their backs are cleared with 100 Thieves being right there.
Sungjun gets that medkit off just in time. Crazy Raccoons want nothing of this fight. Shopify Rebellion back away as well. And so Rock, they don't get much else from it, but they at least alleviate a lot of the pressure on this side. Now, with Shopify Rebellion moving away, they only need to deal with Crazy Raccoon. They haven't forced them out of this spot quite yet, but they need to because they got 100 Thieves looking at them this entire time.
So split in terms of these fights, so we see Shopify popping off, still getting that double knock with the mother load because there's that fight happening also over to that north side of this zone. Taking a look at Shopify with Crazy Raccoon now finally wrapping up around draft point. RX come out on top from that fight. One of the teams that are hiding behind these rampart walls, but with the knock here too, it's an easy cleanup as Crazy Raccoon walk in and Go Next claim that.
Not sure entirely what happened in that fight, but Crazy Raccoons are the beneficiaries of it, and so they will have that free spot to work with. Rock Esports now only have 100 Thieves to deal with in front of them. For Twisted Minds, though, they've lost out on enemy rival. We will find one. Alliance again, up again as a full 3. Gatekeeping here on the eastern side. It's Twisted Minds. Last remaining member. There we go, Crazy Raccoons. That's the replay from that SBI fight much earlier on.
Now Crazy Raccoon will be able to claim that southwestern side of this zone where NRG have taken over that building where we saw that early game pile up. Evos, though, getting these knocks, Unlimited get eliminated. 13 squads left. Crazy Raccoon are going to be able to take their time. 3 KP too in favor of that player, while Team Liquid having the red Evo shield over on the other side of Energy Bank, while Gaming Gladiators completely take over that northern side of that next zone. They have that information of where that zone's gonna be pulling, as Alliance are also neighboring that ring console, staying alive, looking at rival esports, while JD Gaming aren't gonna be moving from their position.
Alb, the only member remaining here for Twisted Minds, actually would have had an opportunity to go 1v2 up against 2 members of EVOS who ended up eating a lot of ring damage. There was a world where he could have won that out, but he just doesn't have that information. He's trying his best to rat this one out, but again, it's a Wraith Rat up against, what do we have? About 5 cryptos left in this lobby, so it's gonna be hard to rat this one out, but it looks like he is making his way on in. For NRG though, Vicky, like you had mentioned, they're holding that southwest side of the zone. Their big threat is gonna be Crazy Raccoon on the other side.
Got a target here.
Hear the pings, and while they are trying to gatekeep this team, they're also aware of the teams behind them. Fusion, Rock, who we saw them holding that southern choke, trying to deny that space from Crazy Raccoon, forcing them to wrap towards draft point. 100 Thieves, though, had made the call on where this next zone was going to be pulling, towards that Evo Harvester, closer to that same choke that we just mentioned. Nobody trying to overcommit yet, though. Every team here is holding their own corner on the edge of that next zone. As we take a look at that replay, Shopify, Koiful falling incredibly low. Zainu with these hipfire shots. It was the mother load, though, dealing just enough damage to cut them off.
Oh my goodness, it was a 1v2 here in the RRX versus Shopify Rebellion.
Oh my goodness.
That was so incredibly close. But now we are down to 12 teams here. I think EVOS were not able to secure that third squad member banner. NRG putting the screws onto Crazy Raccoon here as they are trying to make their way on in. Grumpa has already been knocked out though, but Sungjun try to get away with that raid, but NRG not going to let him get away.
Major Raccoon being one of the teams here with that raid, even if they saw that one of their teammates had gotten a knock, now playing this out with a raid healthy. NRG now close in that gap. Timmy trying to push in. They saw that they got the knock. They want to try to take up this space. Sanju's being the only one alive from CR, and now Rock going to have them in his line of sight. Nowhere to go. Nowhere to hide. NRG now facing off against Rock, but Rock will get pinched here if they commit to this fight with 100 Thieves right behind them.
But the load has been dropped down on top of them. Rock Esports are able to plug Deeds back on in. So they're surviving for now. 100 Thieves are still wary of the team to their north, so they can't full commit onto this. They are leaving one here as that mother load from Baxlon gets the knock onto sights. So now their tides have turned as Rock dropped down on top. There it is. NRG gets eliminated. But now they have to worry. Fusion coming in for that 3P.
Man, off that mother load, huge nade here too, following up one and together. But as a duo, they do a lot of damage onto January. They're hiding behind the corner of the knockdown shield. Alliance in your feet. Get eliminated. Look at Saucer. Literally 1 HP. Fusion get eliminated with some help from afar.
S8UL coming for the third party. They're able to turtle up long enough. Rock Esports behind those knockdown shields. Fusion even eating some of that ring damage. Blunder there for them as S8UL starting to get baited in here, but they will ultimately finish off Rock Esports now. It's S8UL, Rival Esports, JD Gaming, and 100 Thieves left here in the late game.
100 Thieves having the best position, by the way, controlling so much space. I just can't believe what we've been seeing thus far with 100 Thieves. We said that they've been quiet after that first game. Well, guess what? They started to rally up here in our final game of E-District. Looking at S8, they're looking at JD Gaming as Rival Esports now make their way from the northern side of this zone.
They've been quiet, but they haven't been silent, right? They have been able to post up points along the way. Now here's another opportunity to get a second win, just like Alliance had done earlier. But for 100 Thieves, like you had mentioned, they have the most space on this ring. They've also got JD Gaming and Rival starting to stack on top of each other. But S8UL currently not making any moves as they do have that western side to themselves. 100 Thieves leaving 2 members to keep an eye on it. For Rival Esports, though, stuck on the low ground right now, on the climb up, and there's no threats in their way.
This is a really important game for S8. As they're looking at Rival, they're looking at 100 Thieves. They have to put pressure onto 100 Thieves so that way 100 Thieves doesn't clear that left side of the zone. Because S8 are currently in 16th place with only 17 points. JD Gaming, though, forced to play out that low ground, while Rival Esports are looking to fully swing here. They have the PK in hand, taking a little bit of that circle damage. As 4 squads left are here, they want to get information with the Scripto drone.
And Jemper not able to secure that third quite yet. So Johnny R might get picked up here. The Whistler just to slow them down, but no! Rival Esports are able to show up just in time to deny that res. Crucial time now. Getting taken away from them as 100 Thieves really keeping an eye on S8UL. As you can see, JD Gaming still stuck on the low ground. Rival Esports want to try and finish the job.
Difference here is that you have that Ballistic, you have that Tempest, you're ready to push in here. Jen, by the way, with the alternator in this late game, with 4 squads left, gets the knock here, jumping down from the high ground. Rival Esports with the PK and the Gold R301 is all you need to take out JD Gaming. That's over to that north side, and without getting third-partied, as 100 Thieves are still looking at them from the high ground, while also paying attention to S8.
It's fairly even now. 100 Thieves will have to heal up, along with S8UL, allowing Rival Esports plenty of time to just reset for themselves. My big question is, Rival Esports, one of the few teams bringing in the Caustic here. It was Go Next as well, I believe. That was the other team that was playing with the Caustic. Does he have the Nox gas grenade for this final zone?
We didn't see here. 100 Thieves have the Newcastle. They slam it down. S8UL, though, with the 30-30 shots and lackluster ammo. Pay attention to that Volt. 87 here. Jen taking a lot of damage. Huge nades hurled at his feet. And Rivals are trying to push in. They're trying to wrap up behind 100 Thieves. And then 100 Thieves will get sandwiched if they don't pay attention to S8UL.
That's a Nox gas grenade right on top of 100 Thieves. Knock them out. S8UL going in for the finishing blow. But Rival Esports are full and healthy as S8UL with that high ground. Almost getting the knock. And there it is on the Gomcap.
With a nice handshake with Rivals, S8UL walk up, take a nice deep breath, after 100 Thieves were forced to split their attention in 2 different directions, over to Revive, over to S8UL, and there was not much they could do in that situation, but even better for S8 to hold that position.